Hey y'all, welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and today we're going to run back one of my favorite videos of last year, and we're going to talk about Families I'd Like to Fight, Part 2. Last year, this was one of my favorite videos, and it did relatively well. And so I'm hoping we can run it back because I've got a stack of books here of family members, particularly people's daddies, a singular uncle, which if you know, you know, some stepmamas, and some of their real mamas that I'm like, okay, catch me outside because you've been begging for it and now it's time to pay the piper. Starting off with probably the most vile family member there is in this stack. Like, this person for sure will never see the pearly gates. And that's going to be Preston's daddy from Hidden Scars. Now, this is by Andy Jackson. It is a sports romance. It has one of my favorite tropes that I've recently found, which was Hurt Comfort. It is a male-male romance. And let me tell you, Preston's daddy, that man deserves a line of people waiting outside to fight him. Like, if this was a carnival and you know how you go to the carnival, you pay some money to like dunk the person in the tank. This is going to be us paying to get a chance at hitting him, like hitting him in the face. Now, this man is a plastic surgeon. So in my mind, I'm justified. He could reconstruct his face as many times as he wants. But that's not going to save him when we figure out what his new face looks like, because this man here is going to get the brakes beat up out of him. Preston's father is abusive. He's manipulative. He's all of the things. He takes his frustrations out on his son, and he even goes so far to control his son, who is a relatively grown man, right? His son is now in college, but he keeps his son on a leash by threatening his younger sister. He's like, hey, if you don't do what I tell you to do, I'm going to take it out on your sister. And Preston has been going through hell with his father since he was like 8 or 10. Like, it's been a long time. And his father is, like I said, plastic surgeon. So he decides anytime that Preston steps out of the line, he needs to correct him. And what that means is he tortures him. He brings him to the point of pain, but he does it without recognition of society, because Preston's father is high and mighty, right, in the medical world. He is a renowned surgeon. So no one is ever going to look at him sideways, that he has the money to cover it up. He has the social status and the clout. And Preston can't let on, and he can't let anybody get close to him. So not only is he impacting him physically, but emotionally, Preston is twisted. He does not have anybody he's close with. He can't really establish a relation with his sister because he doesn't want her near. And so he's isolated, and he feels like he deserves the treatment that he gets. Which is why I'm like, Preston daddy, you're the first in the line. You, sir, need to be beaten within an inch of your life. And then I need Preston to tell us, hey, give him grace. Continuing on with somebody's daddy, I want to talk about Sabrina Day's Fleeing Fate. Ava's father, the man ain't right. He took her, and this is before I get into her daddy, let me take a step back. I want to give y'all a little bit about the book. It is a Omega verse, so she is an Omega, but a hidden Omega, and she has been isolated, just like Preston, but worse. She has been in a bunker, and her brother have lived off of like in the woods, and she has no relative concept of being around other humans. So she doesn't really know what society is like because she has been sheltered. And that's because her father knows that there's something a little bit different about them. And he has been involving himself as a human in selling off other wares. And so he believes that the son can be a shifter, but he knows nothing about Ava, and Ava has been hidden as an Omega. And so he gets ready to sell the brother off, and that is what triggers the change. And Ava's father goes so far to hunt her down. He makes sure, hey, you are my property. Not only does he treat them horribly, keep them in captivity. He also lies a lot about the things in which her birth and her brother's birth was. This is a why choose romance. Ava has three shifters and one beta that love her dearly. But she has to fight to determine whether she's worthy of love, whether or not the things that her father have done to her really did harm her, because again, she's not used to interacting with humans or anyone else other than her father and her brother. And then to add on the additional level of her realizing that she's Omega takes her a little bit too far. But when I tell you that I'm ready to fight her father, that man is vile. He does not care. This has very, very dark content, and he comes back with a vengeance, and he is willing to do whatever he needs to because she is a prize. Being an Omega, she's a prize. So like, her father definitely need to catch these hands, because why would you do this to your own child? Now, on a lighter note, not necessarily talking about physical harm, but we're going to talk about a little bit of emotional harm, and that's going to be Vera's daddy. Now, Vera's daddy, this is in Marriage and Masti by Nisha Sharma. This is the third and the final If Shakespeare Was an Auntie series. Now, Vera's daddy had me messed up, because why are you threatened by your own daughter? Why you want to put her back in the kitchen, back at home? You want to control and dictate her because you think that she knows how to do your job better than you, and you don't want her to be great. And on top of that, you go as far as to like pit her against her sister. Now you pissing me off. That her father isn't even like a strong man. He is threatened, and he's been threatened by her for a very long time. And again, I jumped into this because, again, I really want to talk to you why I want to fight them. But this is a friends to lovers marriage of convenience. This starts off as a situation where Vera has always loved Deepak. And Deepak has had feelings for Vera, but he didn't know it until things started to go awry. He goes so far because Deepak is now vying to be CEO of this company. And he realizes that Vera's daddy is the one that's pulling the strings behind the scenes. He is the one that's preventing his daughter from ascending to be like a chief financial officer. He has prevented and thwarted her every step of the way. And for that, I'm like, oh, okay. You need to be fought so you can be taught a lesson, sir. I don't dislike you as much as I dislike some of these other men, but you still could deserve a two-piece, and then we can grow and learn from this experience. So this is where Vera's daddy is definitely one that needs to be fought. I told you all there was an uncle that needed to catch me outside, and that is going to be Aaliyah's uncle from Curvy Girl Summer. This is by Danielle Allen. This is her most recent release. And this book in particular is a friends to lover. It is where Aaliyah is turning 30. She is really trying to find her way, but her family is putting societal pressures on her. They're telling her, hey, girl, you need to have a baby. You need to be married. What is you doing? And so she goes on a mission to prove her family wrong, that she actually is in a relationship. So she's dating all of these men so that by the time she gets her 30th birthday, she can bring someone as her date. Now, where her uncle got me messed up and where he comes into play, he decides, hey, not only is he going to talk stuff behind her back, he was like, you can't get a man because you're fat and you need to lose weight. You need to prioritize. This has some fat phobia from a family aspect, and they disguise it as I just want the best for you. Specifically her uncle. And again, this is what makes me mad, because you done had how many wives and you can't keep them? You want to talk to me about being in a relationship and you don't even know what it is to be in a healthy, successful relationship. Baby, don't come to me. But the thing that pisses me off, not only does he decide to spit all of these gums, he also goes a step further and was like, hey, I'm gonna dangle a carrot in your face. I am going to, if you bring someone, which I know you're not, baby, you don't stand a chance. I'm going to tell you, if you can bring somebody to your 30th birthday, I will give you the yacht that I had promised to your sister. Her sister is deceased. So this has a sentimental value to her. But what he decides to do is to tarnish it by saying, hey, in order for you to get something that you actually should have claim over because I know how much it means to you, I'm going to put you in a situation where you got to prove yourself as a valuable woman to get it. He deserves every single fist shoved right down his throat because he talked way too much. Her uncle can definitely meet me outside. Now, this next one is a twofer because it is a father and a stepmama that can meet me outside. And that's going to be Gold by Alexandria House. Now, this book was read in the same vlog as Hidden Scars because it is also a sports romance. This is a nanny and a guardian romance. It has a little bit of a slower build. I really wanted to fight Malik's father and his stepmama. So this is a situation where off rip, the prologue is what did it. This is what solidified that, yeah, I'm going to be mad from jump. Because in the prologue, Malik is young, right? He is out hanging out with his friends. He comes home. I don't really know how old he is. He can't be no older than, I will say, 14. But he is doing his homework. His daddy comes in and he was like, hey, son, I know you just got here. And I know I said that you could go to school and we were going to give it a year for you to see how well you work out here because your mother is suffering from mental illness and she's not able to care for you. However, I'm going to have to send you back home because my wife doesn't want you here. And on top of the fact that she doesn't want you here, she's also having a baby and we need to do what we need to do to raise our kids. Fool, I am your kid. Like, what you mean? What you mean your wife don't want me here? That's not my problem. I'm a child. You need to be having a conversation with your wife to say, yeah, my son can stay here and he needs to know his brother or sister. But you don't seem to understand that this is an issue. Your mama, raggedy self, your stepmama, let me say, your stepmama, raggedy self. How dare you sit here and you finna be a mother and you can't even understand what it means to care for a child because you couldn't be telling your husband to send his child back home on a bus for 6 to 8 hours with no parental supervision back to a place where his mother isn't able to properly care for him because he don't have a bed. What type of mama you finna be? You finna be a trash one. On top of that, the kids that y'all wind up having, because there was 2 kids that is which now Malik has guardianship over in this book. But so they have 2 children, a boy and a girl. You didn't even want them. You was trash mother and father to them. You talked about how they were messing up your lives, and then y'all decided to put them on to Malik's care, and y'all ain't spoke with him a day since y'all put him on a bus. Baby, F you. That y'all deserve y'all behinds beat. Because why have kids if you really don't want them? Don't do that. Baby, I was hot as fish grease during that prologue. I was so hot that I knew that they really deserve to be in this video. Now, the book that really inspired me today to film this, so I had just finished, and it was like, yep, you need to go ahead and film this video. That's going to be Love Never by Therese M. Clarke. This is a novella in the Courageous Love series. Now, you do have to read book 1, which is Heartbeat, before you read this, because you get to know the children that really get you invested as to why the stepmama in this book you want to fight. Now, the stepmama's name is Sherilyn. She is the mother to Kane, and she is the reason why we are here. This is only 89 pages. The question is, how do I find in 89 pages of a book that ain't even got nothing to do with her that I hate a character? Sherilyn is married to Smooth, who is the man of this book. Now, his son is named Kane. He did not know he had a daughter. So this is a secret baby romance. This is a weekend lover, but a soulmate for life. This is very, very heavy. I absolutely love this. However, I went through a lot of emotions because Cheryl definitely deserved the shoe in the face that she got. This woman was so jealous that she played a part in denying this man from ever knowing that, one, he was loved, and two, that he had a sister, and from knowing that her husband had a child. Like, you so bitter because you had hopes and dreams for being a wag, right? You thought that the young man that you went in high school with, you thought that you were going to marry him and become a baller wife. So much so that you took matters into your own hands to ensure that y'all were going to be together. And then when everything fell apart, you didn't decide to stick beside him. You then made sure that he could never have happiness and that you were threatened by a little girl. And furthermore, when that little girl brought it up to you and she confronted you, you doubled down on your vitriol. Baby Sherilyn, you couldn't pay me enough money to escape from having this ass whooping. You, my dear, have it coming. Continuing with stepmamas, I'm going to talk about the first stepmother that I read that I was like, ooh, you can pick a hand, any hand, which one you want is going to come in and slap you in the face. You just choose my dominant hand or the hand that I'm going to have to practice a few times with, because Yvette in Colliding with Fate by E.E. Valdez. This is the romance. It's somewhat acquaintances to lovers. It has a true friendship built over time, but it is friends with benefit. It is a slower burn, but it definitely picks up and it cooks. This story is touching. It does have some darker contents because be mindful that our male main character, his name is Kyrell. Kyrell, his father is dying. And this entire time, he hasn't had a relationship that he needed to have with his father because of his stepmama, Yvette. Now, Yvette is a jealous spirit woman. Yvette is jealous that, one, she wasn't her husband's first choice, but he was stuck with her, and he saw it through. The man is on his deathbed. At least allow him to spend the time with his son, which he loves. But every single moment, she's trying to thwart Kyrell from being able to be with his father because she wants to be the man's everything. Even so much as when he was a child, she would take it out on him that his father loved him and thought the world of him. And she would find times where his father would have to leave to be able to be just bitter and torture and show this little boy no love. And it is carried on until Kyrell was an adult. And for that, I just want you to know, woman, come closer. I got something to tell you. What I gotta tell you is sleep with one eye open, because there's no reason that you should have treated Kyrell how you did. Kyrell was a child and he didn't understand that you were not his father's first choice. You were the only mama that he knew. And for you to treat him like you did and him still to become the man that he is, baby, good on him, because you ain't never gonna see blessings and happiness. Now, since we just talked about stepmamas, it's only right that I talk about people's real mamas as well. Like, yeah, I'm talking about your mother because I know you can't beat them up, but maybe tag me in. The first mama I want to talk about is from Tracy Brown's Brooklyn. This is a historical fiction story that is pretty much talking about a murder mystery. Now, I will tell you what's very, very interesting about this story. Book starts off with Brooklyn is dying, and you see that it is the next day, 24 hours after she is deceased, that we really start the story and try to figure out how we got here. And I thought this story was very, very creative and very, very interesting. It is fast paced, but it also pisses you off. And the character is not a likable character. So let me tell you that. But it does not matter that Brooklyn is not a likable character, because I understand how Brooklyn got to the point that where she was at. And it pretty much stems from her mama and her uncle and some other things. But definitely her mama had a part to play. And that is why we are here today. Her mama needs to find Jesus. And she needs to find her real quick. And I say that being that she is a preacher's wife. This woman can't know the Lord, because the Lord don't like ugly like this. Her mama pissed me off so bad by the fact that, one, your daughter was being taken advantage of by your brother, and you decided to not say that you believe your brother. You covered up for your brother because you knew better. You knew what he was doing, and you didn't want your husband to find out. So you went further down the rabbit hole and defended your brother and told your husband, your daughter lying. So not only are you defending this man, but you lying to your husband, and you manipulating your husband, and you continue to feed your husband lies about her. Baby, that was all that I needed to hear, because I was like, let's go ahead. Let's square up. And then you continue, because as your daughter got older and she found out, like, she decided to move out, she decided to get her own money, she decided to do her own means, you then used it against her and continued to berate her when she came back home. And she had to interact with you all. And and that was from the briefest sliver. Brooklyn mama, I really want you to think long and hard, because the next time you step your foot outside of the door, know that somebody is coming for you. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but somebody's gonna come for you, Brooklyn mama. And that's tea. Lastly, I want to talk about Abby Jimenez's Just for the Summer. This one, you're like, hey, Lisa, Abby, I know she's deep, I know she's heavy, but how did we get here? Emma's mama. Emma's mama is the one that needs to be fought. She also, very much like some of these other people, I'm not even going to say jealous of her daughter, but you put your daughter in a situation where she didn't know that she was loved. She didn't know she had siblings. You cut her off from everything and anyone that could ever love her, because you were insecure and you needed someone only to love you. And you made her care for you up until, you were grown, and you sabotaged every little bit of happiness she could have had. Baby, you are trash. And you continue to be trash. And you never grew up and never understood that what you did was wrong. And you kept going. And even when she found out, you still laughed in her face and said, so what? The way that you treated this young woman and denied her from ever being loved, and so that when she finally did find somebody that did love her, she couldn't understand how and properly love them back. You're terrible. That concludes, Families I'd Like to Fight this time around. Do me a favor. Give me a water emoji for Just for the Summer, or a sun emoji for Just for the Summer. Leave me one of those. I know we're in fall, but I wanted to end this off here. If you have a family member in a book that you'd like to fight, even if it's one of these, please leave it down for me down below, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.